listed on Taste Life Nutrition on KUHSdenver.com, where we do our really work hard to bring you some really cool people who do some really cool things in the world. And really what our goal is when it comes to this show is to bring you as much truth as we possibly can when it comes to health and wellness. Oh, I forgot to start my videos. 1 second. Starting. Got to get those going. I always tell everybody there's always something that I do to mess up the tech part of this, but you know, I guess that's why we're live.
It's okay.
Anyway, it is part of it, right? So let's see. Anyway, all right, here we go. So our goal is to bring you people who do really amazing things in this world, and sometimes we hear a lot about these people, and sometimes we don't. I think Dr. Vicki Matthews you might have heard of before, because how cool is this? She's been on Oprah twice. So thank you for being on my show.
I'm excited to be here.
So fun. But you know, there are people in the world who are working really hard to bring really good, big things to allow all of us then to live this amazing, big life that we have to live. And I think it's important because that's my goal for myself as well as anybody who I come in contact with. Is my goal is to do my best to say you have a big life, God put you here for a reason, and let's do our best to get you where you want to be so you can be that person that you're meant to be. And it's really it's you know, health and wellness is obviously it's physical, it's mental, emotional, relational, financial, spiritual, all of the things. And so we want to do our best to bring to you people who have their specialties in all of these little places, so you then can reach out if you want or learn or whatever it is that you need to do to fill that place for yourself so you can live that big life. And I think it's super fun because, you know, when we run into people who are innovative and who create, you know, I just think it's amazing. And so Dr. Vicki Matthews is a naturopath, but has created, I'm going to let you say it because I'm not going to say it very well, but it's the 5 elements essentially, well, it's on your book, I see it, of relationships. And it's amazing. I did it myself. You're going to have to go to a website and do it. But Dr. Vicki's okay. Dr. Vicki, is that okay? Or do you prefer Dr. Matthews?
Great.
Okay.
Dr. Vicki's great. Vicki's great, whatever.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I feel blessed that you're here, and I'm super excited to get started. So this is
I am too. This is wonderful.
Yeah. Okay. First off, of course, we start the show with gratitude. Gratitude can change the world, and I believe that fully because if I'm grateful, then it goes out into the world. And so I go to bed with gratitude as I'm saying my prayers. I wake up with gratitude. Literally though, which is cool, and I think I said this last week, it's become a habit. I learned from someone that within the first 17 seconds of awakening, that if you are thinking of what you're grateful for, and if you're and not thinking of all the craziness of the day that's to come, it literally can change everything about your day. And so I now it has become a habit. And I think part of it is because I go to bed with all of the gratitude in my head, but I wake up now, first thing I do is thank you God for this day. I mean, it's really kind of cool.
That's wonderful. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
that.
It's been nice. This has been certainly a year of growth, which was my intent. My word of the year was growth, and that's what this year has been for me. So it's been really fun to come, you know, when you're at the end of the year now looking back going, man, this is you know, it happened. Yay.
It happened. Yeah, look at what happened. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, what are you grateful for, Dr. Vicki?
I am, first and foremost, I am grateful for being here. Thank you so much for having me. This is wonderful.
Yeah.
I am grateful for my relationships. I'm my husband and my family. I am grateful for the place that I live that is a sanctuary of calmness in what can sometimes be a crazy world. Mm-hmm. And I'm grateful for any and every opportunity that I have to make a difference for someone.
Oh, I love that. I love that. You know, it is an interesting place being where you and I are as the, sort of the science mind and wanting to give and help people, kind of like I said a little while ago, to grow in whatever way that it is they need to grow, because we all need it. But it's a beautiful thing when us as practitioners can kind of step back and watch. And you're like, and it's so kind of like, same thing. Back this year, who are my clients who have grown, and watching them grow? It's so fun.
And change, and for me, especially to get along. I mean, that's my goal, is to help people get along, because we certainly need it in this country, actually in this world. So I'm grateful, very grateful for people that have decided it's time to start getting along better.
Yes, yeah. Well, and you're a big part of that, so I think that's amazing. What am I grateful for? I think that, this time of year, and this is a little same as last, but this is a time of year that I really love and enjoy and appreciate. Even though I'm a summer girl, I am a Christmas girl. I love Christmas. I love everything that it's about, the non-commercial piece of it, right?
Right.
Yeah, I'm a Christian, and it's a really humbling and beautiful and gratitude-filled time of year.
And magical. It's a magical time of year.
It is.
I think more miracles happen at Christmas than any other time of the year.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And what's fun too is to watch for those and have an awareness. I have a coach who one of the things that she says is, miracles happen every day. And I fully believe that too, because I mean, we have babies every day, and talk about a miracle, how people can create people. It's awesome. But yeah, watching out and just being aware and looking for the tiny miracles, because it's so good.
It is, and it enriches our life if we can look at life that way.
Yeah, agreed. Totally agree. So let's jump in. I am going to do something real quick that I don't typically do. I have a really bad view on one of my cameras here, so I'm going to try to move it just really quickly.
Sure.
Because I want people to be able to see what it is we're doing, and hopefully it'll work. And it's kind of, I think it's just going to have to be that way, but it's not the main one anyway. We'll have the better view to give you for everybody to share. Most everybody can see the better view anyway. So, all right, let's jump into everything about you. My favorite things is, yes, where you came from, but it's, what excites you, what motivates you, what are the things that kind of get you up in the morning, and what, we all have a story and a history about where we are, and I would love to know that.
Okay, well, that's easy. I grew up in California. I'm basically a California girl, and I did my college in Chicago, which is where I met my husband. And my husband and I married, graduated, and moved all in the same weekend.
Oh.
Yeah, because all of our friends were graduating and leaving. So I was like, okay, you have to stay for our wedding. And I mean, deeply in love. It was like he proposed on our second date. It was what is your begin? It was kind of like, you again, kind of knowing each other. So 2 weeks after we got married, we were driving from Chicago to LA for my best friend's wedding, and we drove through the Mojave Desert. And I don't know if you've ever been in the Mojave Desert, but there is nothing there but sand and rocks. That's it. And my husband of 2 weeks drove the speed limit. And I looked at him and I said, can we speed this up? And he looked back at me like I was absolutely crazy and said, we're going to speed limit. And at that moment, it was like, I'm not sure I like the man I love. So that was the beginning of, I know I love you, and, why do I fight with my sister sometimes? And why, what isn't working about these relationships? And, why are there so many lawsuits in our country? And as part of my naturopathic degree, I studied the 5-element model from traditional Chinese medicine. That's what acupuncture is based on and all that. And I loved the model. It resonated with me so strongly. And in my practice, as a naturopath, I deal with a lot of cancer patients. And I believe that you can heal the body of anything, but you can't unless everything is balanced, emotional, mental, spiritual, physical.
Yep.
And when we started talking about, I have a bachelor's in psychology as well. when we started talking about what emotionally was bothering them, it was always their relationships. It was like, okay, how can I help? And then I realized, back to the 5-element model, because I love that, and I realized we are in that model. We're as much a part of nature as anything else. Our personalities are in that model, and I could ascribe water, wood, fire, earth, and metal are the 5 elements, and there's a personality associated with water. There's a personality associated with wood and all the rest, and it sits in our energetic wiring. So it colors how we look at the world, how we interact with other people. How does a water person get along with a wood person? How does a metal person, you can look to nature. Water feeds wood, so that should be a pretty nurturing relationship for the wood. But water puts out fire. So how is a water person going to get along with a fire person? It can either be good because it'll keep the fire from going crazy, or it might feel kind of threatening to a fire person. How does a metal person get along with a wood person? Well, in nature, metal chops wood. So what you've got there is a personality style that's only 5, it's not like Myers-Briggs, it's pretty easy to understand. And you've also got, built into the model, potential dynamics. Will this be a nurturing type relationship or a little bit of a controlling? And control is as important as the nurturing. So once I started talking to my patients about this, it made a huge difference for them in their relationships, in their parenting, in everything. And I started teaching it around here and in the UK, and people asked for books, so I wrote a book.
Amazing. I love it. So this is super cool because you can go to her website. It's just drvickymatthews.com, yes?
Right, Dr. DR.
Okay.
VickyMatthews.com, right.
And she has an assessment, and this is what we were talking about prior to jumping on the show and sort of the pre-show stuff, but is, we all want to learn more about ourselves, and then we all want to learn more about those we live with. Is it our spouse? Yes. Is it our kids?
Children.
Yeah, yeah.
Children.
One of the things that I love that you said on your website is, what you do can be helpful to help dads understand why their son loves the camera or photography as opposed to football.
This was a real high watermark for one of my clients who had been a football star in college, and he had a son and he couldn't wait to trade. Here's a football for the kid. We're going to play football together. And the kid didn't want to play football. I mean, he just had no interest in it. And so this guy came in and said, I'm raising a wimpy kid. Fix my kid. It's like, no. We're not going to fix your kid. We're going to help you understand your kid. And the kid was a water personality, which is imagination sits in water. It's creativity. It's books. It's writing. It's reading. And what the kid really wanted was a camera. He wanted to take pictures. So once the dad got, he wasn't going to make a football star out of his kid. He bought himself a camera, he bought this kid a camera, and they did photos together. And that kid is grown up and he's a professional photographer now.
Amazing.
And yay dad, yay, but yay this model, because it really helped the dad get that his kid wasn't really an outgoing would make it happen type of sports guy.
Yeah, yeah. I would imagine that can be frustrating. I think everybody puts expectations on everybody. It's just kind of what we do, and not necessarily the right thing, but it's what we do.
It's kind of our beginning of how we're going to get along. How I expect you to do this, or I do this, and that's the biggest problem. I do this, so I think you'll do this.
Yes,
and that doesn't work.
Right.
So understanding, that's my favorite word for relationships, is if you can understand someone, you can get along with them.
Yeah.
And that's what my book tries to do, is help people understand each other. The quiz that you took, it's a way to understand yourself. You can have anybody that you work with or that you're involved with take the quiz, and it'll tell you, okay, if you're a primary wood personality, and this is a primary, and my husband and I are a good example. I'm a primary wood person, and my husband's a primary metal, so metal chops wood. And that sometimes doesn't feel good. He's learned after many years of marriage, don't tell me no. Tell me, well, what if? Or something, but don't put a brick wall in front of me when I've got a head of steam going. However, he also, in his wisdom, is so much smarter than me about things. Like one of my favorite stories is I remember getting up on we've probably been married maybe 5 years, and I got up the day after Christmas, and I said, okay, I think it's time to knock this wall out between the living room and a smaller room to make it bigger. So let's just knock the wall out today. And he said, have you noticed there's a Christmas tree up? Have you realized that there will be plaster dust on every single one of those ornaments on that tree that you will have to dust? I suggest we knock them all out after the Christmas tree comes down. It's like, oh yeah, okay, that really makes sense, thank you. And that was his no. And it was a no, but it was a reasoned, logical no that made complete sense.
Yes, yes. And it's good. It's good for who you're talking to, and it's good for you. And so I literally, now I'm sitting here thinking, the wheels turning in my head, that I want to take this because it's so simple. You know, my intake for my clients is robust.
Yeah. And that's good, you know, that's good.
It is, yeah.
But this is simple. It's not only is it's only 5 personality styles, and they only can get along in one of 2 ways, either controlling or nurturing, and both are important. You know, before we went on air, we were talking about how it's really important that fire doesn't burn out of control. So water putting out fire is a very big help for fire people a lot of times. So every relationship can work. I think it comes down to the understanding.
Agreed. And so, yeah, because it's so simple and, you know, easy to get through, but so, I'd say also comprehensive, simply comprehensive.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's something that I feel like I could add to my intake, or, you know, send in an email to clients and have an understanding, because I think I'm pretty good, but I'm sure I say things that aren't quite right to people, you know, but I'm trying to help them through a tough time.
Exactly. And sometimes what you think may not have been the right thing, just because it might not have been right for you, it might have been the perfect thing for them.
Yeah.
You know, it might be, and I trust that. I trust in my practice with my patients, I am always trying to be mindful of what I say, but I also trust that there's an energy between us, that we've agreed to be part of this healing journey, really, and that I will bring the best that I can that will be the greatest good for them at that time.
Yeah. I think that's great. So I want to talk, if it's okay, a little bit about mine, so people can kind of get a feel.
That would be great.
For
that would be awesome.
What this is. And so I filled it out, and what one of my notes was, after I filled it out and read about myself, it was, get the book. So
and it's a simple quiz. It's questions. I mean, it's not like this big thing. It's just some questions that you answer.
Yeah. It was really simple. You have to think about it a little bit, because you have to think, is this me? Maybe. Some are just hard nose, and some are, well, maybe, right? But that's going to be typical. But what I found, and so for me, I am 5 for water, and she and I have already talked about this, but I'm 4 fire, 4 metal, 3 earth, and 2 wood. And you're all wood. Not all wood, but you're primary.
All wood, but it's my primary. Wood is my primary, earth is my secondary.
Yeah. So I'm going to read my primary, because when I read it, I just went, holy smokes, that's amazing. And if you watch the show, then you'll get it. If you don't, it's okay. So water corresponds with winter, which is interesting, because I feel like I'm a summer girl, but it makes sense. Most activity is below the surface. Water people are like that, almost nonchalant outside. Inside, there are a flurry of thoughts, ideas, and creativity. Unlimited potential and hope sit in water. The favorite question of the water is why. And if you watch the show, or if you are a client of mine, the question that I teach, that I say, and I probably say it more than I should, but I have to get it. I have to have people understand to always ask why. As a functional nutritionist, that's all I do, is I ask why. I want to dig for the root cause. I want to understand what the problem is. I don't want it to cover up with drugs. I don't want to cover it up with supplements. Supplements and drugs may be necessary, but I want to understand the root cause and dig so we can allow the body to work properly. And a lot of people will go to the doctor and get a diagnosis and like, okay, there's my diagnosis, but it doesn't answer the question why. So, so anyway, I was just floored. I was like, that's the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah. And it's all in you. You know, that's how you came into this world. Is wired that way.
Yeah, it's so amazing. And so will you explain a little bit about how they, because you explained this to me so well, but I was in the middle of kind of getting stuff together, but how all of these work together. So you have your primary, and then you have your other 4 that all work together.
So what we'll do is we'll step back for a moment and say these energies, these elemental energies, if you will, sit in our energy field. We kind of walk around in a bubble of energy that's called our auric field, and lots of things sit in that auric field. One of them are these elements, the energies of these elements. So, I mean, again, Einstein said everything's energy at some level or not.
Yeah.
So these energies stack up in our auric field. And if you've ever been in a house and looked out a window, if there's any kind of a tint on the window, that colors how you look at everything through that window. The elemental personality energy that is closest to us as it stacks out from us moving away, the one that's closest is that tint. It is, we look at the world through our elemental personality. I'm a wood personality. There, make it happen, and how can we do it better, move it forward. So I will approach something from the perspective of, how can we make it better? Or how can we make this work? Or here's the problem, what can we do to fix this problem? I'm a future thinking, make it better type of person. My husband, on the other hand, is the metal personality that in the 5 elements model sits at the end of the cycle. He's a person that will look back across history about, whether that's yesterday or 20 years ago, and say, oh, this worked then, let's try this now. He will look at things from a historic perspective. If you ask him, what do you want to do tomorrow? He's like, well, tomorrow, I mean, he can do that, but he's not as good a planner as I am, because I'm thinking about the future. So it's each of the elemental personalities brings different filters like that. The earth element will look at the world as, who can I help? Who needs what? Or how do I make my house look prettier? Or how do I cook this recipe for somebody and take it to them? I mean, they're into caregiving, and every nurse you've ever met has a ton of earth energy, probably as their primary. School teachers, elementary school teachers, have a lot of earth energy. So each elemental personality has their, what they're known for. The water we've talked about in metal and earth. So then there's fire. Fire people that sort of stands for summer. The way the ancients, these come from ancient Chinese medicine, and they use the 5 elements to explain phases in any cycle, like, start, middle, end type of thing. And they use the seasons. So fire represents summer, when everything's out there, everybody's playing, having a good time, laughing, and those are fire people. People that have that first nearest to them is fire energy. They see the world through, oh, there's somebody I can go meet. They like meeting people. They like connections. If you ever meet anyone to talk to a group of 20,000 people, make sure they have a lot of fire. Because they can stand up in front of 20,000 people and say, hey, here we are, let's talk about this type of thing. So that is a real strength. And you have all 5 of them, so you can draw on them when you need it. No one would ever, in my normal downtime life, think I was a fire personality, but red builds fire. So when I want to be fiery, I wear red. I will do other things to make sure that I can reach out and connect with people, because that really matters to me. It's just not something that woods naturally do easily. So we have it all. We can use it all anytime we need to. I can even, Lord help me, I can even be metal if I need to. I can even look back and say, okay, yeah, I burned that last time, so I'm not going to cook it quite as long.
Lessons. We always want to learn those lessons, right?
Learn those lessons.
So much fun. So, we came into the show and entitled it, whatever it was, relating, it was making the holidays, 5 tips for making the holidays happier. Holy smokes,
Yes.
you think, I have it written down, maybe I could look at my notes, I don't know.
I think it was 5 quick tips for happier holidays for everyone.
For everyone, yes. And I love that because, which was a great idea, it was totally your idea, but this is such a great time where we know we're going into sometimes, a lot of times, dealing with lots and lots of family. And sometimes that's amazing. Sometimes it can be difficult because sometimes family dynamics are a little bit difficult. And so I would love to just kind of dig into that a little bit. And I think that first, listen to what she says and then just go get the book, because that's what I'm going to do. I think that's going to be, I'm in a place which is interesting, and I'm just going to put it out there, where the things that I want to do, I want to change the world, right?
Yeah.
And I think that this is one of those books where if you pay attention to it, you read it, you take it to heart, we can all change the world in our little ways.
Yes.
And
yes.
so,
yes.
yeah.
And it needs changing. And I mean, if you think about it, in our country, we have 40 million lawsuits a year. 40 million lawsuits a year. We have the third highest divorce rate in the world, and it's behind two small countries, Maldives and Belarus. And half of our millennials are already in relationship counseling. So we don't know how to get along. And that was a big prompt for me to get everything that I've been teaching and talking to in my private practice on paper, on a book, where people could read it and understand, and you'll get along better with anybody that you understand. And that goes back to the holidays. There's certain aspects of each of these elemental personalities that will come out in the holidays because there's a lot of gatherings and everything. So is it okay if I just go through each of the personalities and talk a little bit about what would help them during the holidays?
Yes, that's great. Sorry,
okay.
I got my phone's ringing over there. I'm like, stop ringing.
Okay, I'll talk louder. We'll hear it. Okay, so holidays are usually about family and friends and gathering together, and that sits in the earth element. Earth people, the earth energy is about home and people that you're close to and people that you have been in your life a long time that you maybe only see at the holidays. So what you want to do to help make earth people feel good during the holidays is bring a lot of people together, for one thing, you know, that they're close to. But something that's really important to earth people is food. So earth are foodies. And so anything that you can do to have comforting foods, a lot of their, if it's, you know, if a child coming home or a grandparent coming over, and you know they have favorite foods, make sure you have those foods around. Make sure that it's comforting and it's available. Who doesn't like food? But earths really love food, and what you want at family gatherings is to bring everybody together, to have cohesion and synchronicity, and food does that. So the biggest thing for all the earths out there is make sure, which I'm telling them, you know, it's like telling them to remember to breathe. Remember to have good food at your gatherings, but pay a little attention to the people that are coming and what are their favorites. What will help make the gathering feel more like a homecoming, because that is what will build the sense of earth. So now let's go to the people with the fire personality. Those are, they love fun and laughter and games and connecting with people, and really they're the best person at going up and saying, hi, my name's Heather, who are you, type of thing. They're brilliant at that. But they don't like a whole bit, if you just do nothing but sit around and talk about reliving old family recipes and old family times, that will not be pleasant for them for very long. They like to play. They like games. So one of the things I think I suggested in that thing I sent you, Nikki, was have some kind of a game going on. And it can be, you know, everybody sits down at a board game or card game or something, but it could be as simple as dumping a bunch of dried beans in a jar, and everybody has to guess how many beans are in the jar. And, you know, that's an old thing, but the sense of fun, of guessing, of game, that will really help engage the fire person. So that's something that that'll really energize them and give them something to focus on. So that's something, that was a recommendation for helping fire people feel good at all these different gatherings. Wood personalities, oh bless us all. We love organization, and we love accomplishment and success. So a way to make a wood person feel at home, especially if they're surrounded by a lot of fire, because fire burns wood, or a lot of, you know, you don't want a lot of water either because that rots wood, give them a job. Give them a role. Tell them, oh, could you set the table, please? Or, oh, could you, you know, help make sure everything gets in the dishwasher or whatever. Just if you give them a job, a role in the event, they'll jump in and feel like they know their place and they can accomplish something. Yes, I can make sure all the dishes end up in the dishwasher. Job done, type of thing. Okay, metal people. These are the people that like process and protocol, and they want to set the table correctly. They're the ones that will measure, is the knife exactly 3 inches from the plate like it's supposed to be, type of thing. Those are the metal people. They love doing things the right way. So I suggest that you ask them for help. Let them give their wisdom. They love, and they in the 5-element model, they sit at the end of the cycle. They have seen it all. They truly have. They do have a right to say, this worked, this didn't. And, you know, I like to say that they're the ones that will say, we keep the zucchini fruit, we get rid of the zucchini vine. It's that kind of sorting and discernment that they excel at. So I would ask them how to do something, or ask them, where would you put this, or how would you manage that? And the only warning with that is you must take their advice, because if not, you will have dismissed their wisdom, which metals do not like, and they're likely to scowl at you the rest of the evening. So make sure that whatever you ask them for, you're willing to take whatever they suggest. So then, okay, water people. Those are the people that love creativity, imagination. As Nikki said, she's got a lot of water in her personality, and they aren't really fond of huge gatherings. It's not something that they spread themselves too thin if they're literally with a lot of people. What I have suggested people do is make sure whatever gathering you're having, there are other water people there. Because those 3 or 4 water people will find each other, and they will be in the corner truly discussing how many angels can dance on the head of a pin. I mean, they're not going to resolve anything, but it's like, oh, well, what if we did that? I mean, creativity and imagination sits in the water element. So they are just happy as clams to be talking about that kind of thing. In fact, I actually had a patient of mine who had an uncle that she knew was a watery person, and he was never happy at family gatherings. He was always off by himself. Sometimes you'd see him pull a book out of his pocket and be reading, and so he wasn't engaging. And so she, very clever girl, she had 2 or 3 friends that she knew were like philosophy majors in college or something that obviously had a lot of water. She invited them to that dinner. And they grabbed onto that uncle, and they sat over in a corner, and they talked about so many wonderful things, and she said she'd never seen her uncle as happy as that, and it was a wonderful gathering.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know these tendencies about the people that are coming over, and again, there's a quiz, you can ask people to take the quiz, but if you know who the earth people are, they're the ones that bring 5 times more food than they need to. You know who the fire people are, they're the ones telling the jokes. You know who the people that are ribs, they're the ones making it happen. Come on, it's time to go, we gotta do this, we gotta do that. We're on the bossy side sometimes. You know the metals, they're the ones that know how the rules go, or they know what worked and what didn't. And the water people, like we said, are gonna be the ones that are wanting to talk philosophy or imaginative, creative, or well, what if we hang the banner here instead? So just working with that and understanding that, that's how we get along with people, is to understand each other.
I love that. And you know, it seems so simple. You know, we all know it's not, but you know, taking the time and making a little bit of that effort and having fun with it. I mean, something like this to me it's a little bit of it's just a fun little game, really.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get your book before Christmas. I mean, our family gets along really, really well, but my husband's family is really, really big. I think that there are going to be 45 of us there.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
So
wow.
Including kids, there are a bunch of kids, lots of kids. But but it will
have games for those kids. And remember, our personalities, they're from birth. So you'll have water kids, you'll have wood kids, those are the bossy ones. You'll have metal kids that'll be over in the corner analyzing things. I mean, you make sure that you bring as much attention to what those different children will want to play with as well.
I think that's such a good idea. So I'm going to get the book before. I mean, I can just grab it off Amazon, right?
Absolutely. It's on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com, but it's on Amazon. And I always say to people, thank you so much for buying it, and please leave a review.
That's smart. That's really smart. I should do that more often. That's good. Thanks for saying that.
It helps. Those of us that are new authors, at least new to Amazon, it really helps. It helps, especially on relationship books. You don't end up in the searches until you get at least 30 reviews. They don't push you in the searches. So if somebody goes in and searches for relationships, I'm not going to show up if I only have 29 reviews.
Isn't that interesting?
It is. It's their algorithm.
A game.
It's their algorithm. Absolutely. So and anybody that has the same last name as me can't review my book, like my husband. They won't let family review the book.
Well, there are lots of Matthews out there, though.
Yeah, but I don't know that many of them. But I know my husband tried, and they wouldn't let him review it.
Oh my goodness. I don't
was
know.
going to say something cute like, I'm the star of this book or something like that.
I love that. That's so good. Well, I'm excited. I'm going to get it. I hope others will get it as well, before going into any relationship and, business, personal, all of the things. I think they could be super helpful.
It's a great Christmas gift. It's also a great wedding gift.
Ooh,
so people, they understand the nuts and bolts of the person they're marrying. Yes, you love him. It's kind of like me. I love this guy. I didn't think I liked him, but it was because I didn't understand him. Mm-hmm. And once I understood him, I really appreciated what he brought to the party, and it made a huge difference. Huge difference.
So curious. So y'all met in school and
yes.
got married. Yes. Were you going through? Were you in naturopathic school at that point?
No. I actually on forums where it says education, for me, my husband wants to put too much. Because I have a bachelor's in psychology, I have a master's and an MBA actually in consumer behavior, I have my naturopathic degree, and I kind of got them in that order. I was a pre-med major undergrad before I ended up in psychobiology, which then my family moved, and I was at UCLA, and my family moved, and I ended up in a small Midwestern town with a small Midwestern college, and I walked in and said, hi, I'm from California, I'm a psychobiology major. And this guy was like, honey, we do not have psychobiology here. You can be a psych major or you can be a biology major, but you can't be both. And I happened to have more credits toward the psychology, so I got a degree in psychology.
So one of my favorite things about I think about being me, but about what I do, is I love that I find and intentionally surround myself with the smartest people in the world.
And that makes you one of the smartest people in the world.
I love smart people, and I love that you have too much to put put all the things down that you do and that you've done. I just think that's really cool. I want to do that.
Well, and my husband, we have the college bills to pay to show it for it too,
Right.
And a wall of diplomas. But it's part of my personality as a wood is to kind of create my path. Mm-hmm. And this will be good. Oh, that'll be good. And it's served me well. And I am an information junkie. I mean, I will totally cop to that. I am definitely an information junkie.
Yeah. Same. That's where we are very similar. Even though I'm only a 2 on wood. I eat it up. I need as much as I can.
But wood isn't where the information junkie sits.
Oh.
The information junkie will depend on the information. It's your water, the creativity, why is this working type of thing, and that part of you that's metal will be analyzing what worked in the past and stuff. So you're wired for it.
I love it. So much fun. I'm going to do a quick break and talk about our sponsor real quick because they're amazing and innovative. Cellcore Biosciences are to date, some of my favorite supplements that we use. I use them on a regular basis. They are very specific, but they work really, really well depending on the need. And so they're innovative in their approach. The delivery system of the supplement is innovative. Have you heard of Cellcore? I don't know if you use supplements and practice at all.
I do, but it's not a brand I'm aware of. I'd love to be made aware of them.
Yeah, they're interesting. So the delivery system allows for essentially deeper cellular penetration of the nutrients that they use, whether they're herbs or all of the things. And so it is really getting, when we talk about looking and addressing, the root cause, this is for clearing up the drainage pathways in the lymphatic system, starting there, and it's for addressing mitochondrial dysfunction and cellular dysfunction, and then moving up from there and going after whatever gut issues there might be or gut dysfunction. Whether we have gut issues or not, we could have gut dysfunction, which can create mental and emotional disorders. Anyway, so they're strong. A lot of what they do is ridding the body of microbes and parasites and worms, and nobody likes to hear it, but many of us are dealing with parasites and worms that we don't know that we have, and it's time for them to go away.
Right. Yep. And I love that they're working with herbs. That is something else. I'm a master herbalist too. So.
Oh, look at you! More smartness. Love it.
Well, but back in the day, there weren't companies like this that you could get things. You know, I made a lot of my own herbal tinctures and things like that. So if there's somebody doing it already, that's great.
Yeah, it can be helpful. But I have a friend of mine who is a doctor of Chinese medicine, and that's what, you know, her prescriptions are her herbs, and she can just mix and do the things. I'm like, that's the coolest thing.
It's really, that is my medicine, is herbs.
Yeah. I mean, herbs are strong. I mean, they can be,
powerful.
They're very powerful, and if we don't appreciate them for what they are, they can be too much for people.
Right.
And so it's important to so many things that are important. It's important to build your team. It's important to know what it is you're doing and what you're taking, why you're taking it, and how you're taking it. You know, we are inundated with supplements out there, supplement companies, and you know, the weight loss and the things. It sounds like the next best thing in the world, when potentially it could be creating more harm than good. Potentially, it could have a more powerful effect than you're ready for. Potentially, you buy it off Amazon or eBay, and it's not what it says it is, and that can be super harmful as well.
And that's also, is it organic? Is it so many things? And for me personally, I tend to buy my herbs in bulk from people that I know that are growing them, or a company that I've vetted and I'm sure of, and do a lot of my own tinctures and a lot of my own preparations because you can trust it. But if you have companies like this, the one you're talking about, that you know you can trust, it saves you a lot of work.
Yeah. I love I love them for a lot of reasons, but they, you know, besides them being innovative, our views are very similar. Their company view and my personal views are very similar.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's good. You know, a lot of personal accountability and responsibility. You know, I fully believe in personal accountability and responsibility, and not blaming. You know, and not being the victim. You know, and there are a lot about that. They're a lot of bit about bucking the system. And you know, these are things that I think are important, and I really can't say enough about them and who they are as people. Right.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That is fantastic.
Good stuff.
And those are important contexts to have. Very important.
Yeah, agreed.
Because if we don't take care of our body, we're not going to be walking around this planet anymore.
It's true. And the thing that I like to say, it's not like I'm the only one who says this, but it's not about how long we have, although we want, you know, a little longevity when we can, but we don't know how long we have. We want to live the best we can while we're here. And it's so important to feel the best you can. Again, going back to the mental, emotional, relational, physical,
spiritual,
financial, spiritual, all of those things are so important. And to be filled with those things, I mean, we all are going to continue to have things to work on, which is life. It's how God created us, is to always want to go to the next level and achieve more and learn more and do more.
Right.
But if we don't feel
make a
well,
difference.
And if we don't, and if we don't feel well, we can't do it, or it's too hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, no. If you don't have if you don't have a healthy physical vehicle to walk around and do what you're doing, and to meet people on an emotional and spiritual and intellectual level, you're not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So the physical is the most important because it's the shoulders that everything else stands on.
So true. I love the way you say that. Thank you. So that was a long little sponsorship, but but it's good. You know, you're so right though. It's important. It goes back to, in my mind, building your team. You know, I've built my team to help me build my business. And, you know, supplement companies are a part of that. I'm very, as you are, and you're saying, I'm very careful about the supplements that I use. And I'm very careful about my referral partners. I'm very careful about the people who I surround myself with, both personally and professionally. I refuse to be dragged down. And there was a time where that happened, and I refuse it, and I refuse drama. Don't like drama. And
well, you can let it go. I mean, you don't need it. It won't even come to you. You just done that.
So true. Yeah. This is where you learn.
I think that's how we learn. You're right. That didn't work.
Yeah, exactly. So let's maybe talk a little bit about how you work with people, what you offer. I know you have your 5 Elements of Relationships book. You have your other book. I wrote it down.
It's a novel, yeah.
It's a novel?
It's a novel. It's called The Goddess Letters.
Yes. Okay. I didn't write
it. It's a novel. It's a novel I wrote probably a decade ago, and it's a feminist novel. It's about equality for women and what the world looks like, how better the world could look if there was equality for women. And it's set in it's set in modern times, and there's a bit of a romance, and there's a little bit of otherworldly things, and a plot and stuff. So, and it wasn't like 8 words. I mean, it did really well when I published it.
Look at you! That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah, but it had to have a purpose. I mean, it is very much a feminist novel.
Okay, gotcha. Very cool. And so you see patients on a regular basis.
I see patients. Right now I am still just doing and Zoom. My husband is in a high risk category, so I'm not seeing people in person.
Yep.
And still yet. But I definitely do consultations, and those are 1 hour long. You do well on Zoom. I also am creating a course, the 5 Elements of Relationship, how to work with understanding yourself and other people, and it'll be an online course.
That's going to be amazing. Let me know when that happens for a couple of reasons. One, because I want to know about it, and 2, because I would love to share it. These are just things that the simple things, not so simple, but the simple things that can make a difference. I don't mean to be repetitive, but it's true. So I would love to be able to share that.
Thank you. Yes, I am hoping by it'll be sometime next year.
Okay.
Sure.
Great. Yeah.
Sure.
Good. Perfect.
Yeah.
And so you're doing. I have a question about your coaching, but you're doing personal coaching. You're also doing group coaching. Yeah.
Yes. Right now I'm sticking to personal just because my life is so crazy. I mean, I'm doing lots of interviews. We're coming up on the holidays, so getting people's schedules together for groups, it was just like, forget that. We're not going to go down that road for a while yet. I mean, again, I used to, but I'm not. I'm doing personal though, because that's my schedule and somebody else's schedule. And also with this, I found if you understand yourself a little bit better to begin with, then you can get a lot more out of a group setting, because there'll be waters and weeds and fires and so you can actually start hearing a water talk about themselves, even if you're not a water. But you have to really have a good understanding of what's going on for you and who you are at like a core level. So a lot of personal coaching seems to feed better into participating in the group coaching later.
So as a biopsychologist, naturopath, herbalist, MBA, all of the things, when you work with people, do people come to you at this point specifically for relational understanding? Are you seeing people who are physically sick, right? Is it, what does that look like?
It's morphing. I mean, prior to COVID, yes, I dealt with one of the things I happen to be very fortunate to work with is people with cancer and have a very good track record.
That's right.
So, but that was in person, and those were people, they came to me like every week for a while, and we would not only, okay, this is one more thing I do, Nikki, I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry, I love it, give me more.
I am an energy medicine practitioner. I actually helped Donna Eden found her certification program. I ran her certification program for a decade.
Wow.
So I use a lot of energy work in my practice as well. So if that's another way, because our energies kind of help move and communicate between the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So if you want all of those to be balanced, or your energy has to be balanced so that they're all working together. So that was when I'm working with someone who's seriously ill. We're working their energies, we're talking about their diet, we're talking about what's going on in their relationships, we're talking about what their spiritual pursuits are. I mean, it's literally helping all of the layers of the human being be balanced and work together, and then the body will be healthy.
It's so true. And I think it's such a forgotten part of the puzzle, piece of the puzzle is, when we're dealing with chronic illness, and I'm probably, I would say, I'm sure I am guilty of this too, because my focus really, it's the nerd out I love labs. I love the biochemistry.
Yes.
I am not
Yes.
good with the mental emotional, and I know that, which is why I have a great referral network. But it's I have to make myself remember that whatever is going on physically, there's something going on mentally, emotionally, spiritually, something that we can't see that's not on lab work.
And it started it. Whatever's going on physically started someplace else, most of the time. You know, an accident, obviously, you know, if you're in a car accident, that's not because you were mad at your husband or something, unless you weren't paying attention to driving. But it is, for anything that, in most of our major illnesses, that manifest physically, they started someplace else.
Yeah. You know, I had a guest on last week. She's super cool. You know, I love epigenetics. You know, this, you know, I think, talk about being a nerd. I'm not an expert at all, but I love it, and I love what it's about, and I love what it can give, and it goes back to personal accountability. Epigenetics does, and I'm going to do just a real quick for those who don't know what that is. Epigenetics is they're locations on genes that are what allow the expression of genes, and so those locations can be turned on and off due to lifestyle. So it's food, it's mental and emotional, it's physical, it's movement, it's trauma, it's you know, environmental toxicities. It's all of the things that are in our world that turn these SNPs on and off that allow for the expression of these genes. And so I love it because it is personal accountability. If we're looking to the future, so my guest last week takes it and she looks at epigenetics from a historical view, and how family trauma, from whether it's our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, how those genes are turned on and passed from those generations and affect us today, and then of course can affect the future. It's fascinating.
And
yes,
I will tell you, and this is going to be a little on the woo side, but we're all woo here anyway, so it's fine. In my experience, in my practice, not only is exactly what she's talking about, and that's an incredibly important way to work with it, but that sits in our energy fields too. You know, we think about them all layered up and nothing talking to the other, but you can work with energy and change energy trauma and go back generations and change it for the generations.
What?
Yeah. It's really cool. It's there's this different, you know, whether you're working with the chakras, I mean, there's lots of different things like that. But the ability for epigenetics to work from a past trauma that's now sitting in your DNA, that's moving, that you might be passing on, to work with that now makes a huge difference. But you can also work with it at different layers. That's all I'm saying. It's like at energy layers. It's really, I think healing is one of the most important, it's really what prompted me to work in medicine, is the idea that healing happens at so many different levels, but it holds us back if we don't heal. If we can't, at whatever level we need to heal, and that's so much of that's letting it go. I mean, it's for gosh sake, it's over, let it go. You know, what do you need to heal? What do you need? Comfort? Do you need meds? Do you need, what do you need? But let it go and move forward.
You're right. It is so hard for some people to let things go. Is that an element?
No.
It's a metal element. Okay.
Metal's the end, and they're supposed to let it, they're supposed to discern the wisdom and then hand it off to the waters, which is where things start, and you do something new with it. And any time, and remember we have all 5 of these in our energetic makeup, anytime you have trouble letting something go, it's your metal. It's the metal element, and there are things you can do. And that's another thing that's cool. In my book, there are lots of different ways to balance each of the elemental personalities. I mean, it's what tea you drink, what color you wear. There's stones that balance them. I mean, there's musics that balance them. So that if you're having trouble letting go, then there are things that you can do to make it easier to let go of something. Another thing that's cool about, interesting anyway, about metal people is because they look backwards, they look at the cycle and say, and then they're so wise, this is what worked, this is what didn't. Try asking a metal where you want to be in 10 years. They don't look forward very well. But if you say 10 years from now, what would you like to look back on and have accomplished?
Oh, isn't that
they can answer that question.
That's crazy.
It is. And I learned that the hard way. Because in my practice, I had a specific guy that's really, really, really a lot of metal. And one of the things that you try and do with people is help them look forward. Look, what are the changes we're going to make? How are we going to make these changes? What are you going to do with that relationship? And every time I asked him, like a couple years from now, what? And he just blanked out. You could just see him, he just kind of like, that doesn't compute for me. But so it was like, okay, so 10 years from now, what do you want to look back on? And then, oh man, you could answer that question. It was a real eye opener for me. It was a major. I wish I'd thought of it earlier than I did. It was a big eye opener.
I love it. That's so cool. Well, I'm sitting here thinking that I feel like I'm kind of a bad host because I really should have read your book prior to coming into the show, but I am excited. I'm super excited to get it.
I'm excited you're going to read it. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. We're, button up to the end of our time, but I want people to know anything else that you want to share, how to find you, where to find you, people who have questions or want to work with you, because you also work with corporations, yes?
I do. I do. I've done less of it, again, because usually that's in person, and I've just sort of really pulled back because of my husband being high risk. So I'm doing a lot more digital and virtual and all that, but what I can absolutely do is work with personnel departments. For example, if you're hiring somebody that's your meeting at your front desk type of thing, you don't want a meddle there. They'll be distant and aloof. You don't want a water. They'll be doing something else instead of paying attention. You want either a fire person will be, hey, hi, nice to meet you, come on in, or an earth person, oh gee, you're wet, let me help you. So that can make a difference in how you hire people too.
Well, I thank you for that, and I'm sorry I got distracted because I didn't realize that. So every other week we have someone who comes in after me, and I'm supposed to finish up early, and I thought I did that last week, and I didn't. It's this week, so.
There's two things to tell your audience.
Yes.
It's drvickymatthews.com, drvickymatthews.com. The quiz, everything is there. And also, if they go to getalongnow.com, there is a free booklet for them that sort of summarizes this information.
Awesome.
So getalongnow.com and drvickymatthews.com.
Perfect. Reach out to her, get her book, get her little book, and let's all work together to just create a little fun and some good relationships and have fun with this. So
make the world better by getting along.
Yes, it's the truth. It's the truth. Well, I'm so grateful. I want to have you on again. I think that this is so
I would love to come back. This has been fantastic.
Yeah, so fun. Thank you. I'm just going to end really quick with, of course, you can find me at tastelifenutrition.com. You can fill out a free assessment. Also look for Soulful Conception. We're getting that moving and going. Super excited about that for preconception care and planning. And reach out. Find us here every week, 10 a.m. Thursday on KUHS Denver. Streaming live. We'll see you next week. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.